Hey, what is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video of my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over the NBA games for Saturday, December 25th, 2021. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for some reason you're curious to know how I'm picking these games, you'll have to join my Patreon. My picture always in writing, underlined, and italicized. For more information on that, please read the description of this video. I wish you guys the best of luck in your picks today. Let's go ahead and get into the games. We're going to be looking at all the NBA games on Saturday for Christmas. The Hawks versus the Knicks, Celtics versus the Bucks, Warriors versus the Suns, Nets versus the Lakers, and then end it with the Mavericks versus the Jazz. On this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers, numbers specific to the game. The way that I have it structured here is I have the road team on top, which is their coach's record, their season record, and any other notes I want to add. In the middle is the head-to-head records between the two teams all time, regular season and this season in particular. And then at the bottom is the home team, their season record and their coach's record, with any other notes I may want to add. So let's get it started here with the Hawks and the Knicks to kick off Christmas Day basketball. The Hawks and the Knicks, as you can see, I don't have anything really marked for this game. I couldn't really find an angle for either side, honestly, when it comes to the numbers. It doesn't mean that there aren't things there. I'm just not seeing, it's just not standing out to me. And I'm far from perfect. I get things wrong all the time. You'll never see me be one of those weirdos out there that just brags about his wins only and ignores all the losses. I'm far from perfect, okay? Even though I operate at a 60 plus win percent ratio, I'm definitely not operating at a 70 or 80% win ratio, so I'm losing. I'm definitely losing, just like everybody else. So let's look at the Hawks here and the Knicks. I'm going to start with the home team. We're going to start with the home team, the Knicks, in this game, and I'm going to show you some numbers that may allow the Knicks to win this game, and then I'm going to show you some numbers that may allow the Hawks to win this game. There really isn't a whole lot here, so this is going to go by very quickly. So the Knicks, the home team, if the Knicks were going to win this game, you could just look at the 15s. I have them highlighted here in gray for the Gregorian calendar. 15 date numerology on the Gregorian. Hawks can sit on 15 wins for the season with the loss. Knicks can get their 15th win for the season with the win. And that's as far as I've gotten with it. Knicks can sit on 18 losses for the season with the win in their 18th home game. That could play in their favor. And honestly, that's about as far as I got with this game. There's really nothing here. I mean, I'll make a pick on this game on my Patreon, but I'm not gonna probably put any money on this game. But if I were to, I'd be leaning the home team Knicks. Hawks, their coach, he can sit on 42 regular season wins as a coach for the Hawks with the loss. Today does have 42 date numerology as well as that 15 date numerology. The team can sit on 15 wins with the loss as their coach sits on 42 wins with the loss. It's their coach's 70th regular season game as a coach for the Hawks. 70, if we spell it out, sums to 110. It's the 110th day of the Hebrew civil year. 70 also sums to 79, the 22nd prime number. And Hawks could become 7-9, like 79, for a road record with a loss in their coach's 70th game. 70 sums to 79. On the 110th day of the Hebrew civil, 70 sums to 110 as well. It's the Hawks coach's 1,319th regular season game for his career, 1319 if we put that in the number property. 215th prime number, 215. They could become 7-9, 79, sums to 152, 319, 215. 152. They're just anagrams of each other. So that would play against the Hawks. Outside of that, that's all I have for the Knicks to win this game. I guess one more thing you can point to is today is December 25th, 12/25, 12/25. 1225 is the 49th triangular number. Maybe the Knicks coach sits on 49 losses as a coach for the Knicks with a win on Christmas Day. So that would play in the Knicks' favor. If the Hawks were going to win this game, there's not a whole lot here, but it could simply just be a revenge narrative. You know, they could even the score 1-1 head-to-head against the Knicks for this season with the win. I don't see any other 11 connections to go along with it, so it's hard for me to kind of accept that one. But it could happen. You know, it doesn't. There doesn't have to be this, you know, plethora of connections for it to hit. It could just be one solo dolo, and that's it. The Knicks, they could get their 12th home loss for this season. Today does have 78 date numerology on the Gregorian, 78 the 12th triangular number. It is the Hawks' 16th road game. They could become 16-16 for a season record with a win. Their coach, he can get his 43rd win a regular season as a coach for the Hawks. Today does have 42 date numerology, but 42 does sum to 43. And that's about all I can put for the Hawks. I mean, there's just not a lot of numbers for this game in general. I'm personally not going to be betting this game in general, but I will be making a pick on this game on my Patreon, just because that's what I do. I don't bet every single game that I pick, but I have no problem picking games. I don't shy away from that. I'm not scared to pick a game. I don't need to walk on eggshells. You know, I don't need to tiptoe around certain things. You know, I'll just make a pick. Whether I bet that pick or not, that's a different story, though. I don't bet everything that I pick. That's for sure. Let's move on. Celtics versus the Bucks. Celtics versus the Bucks. Let's start with the home team. If the home team was going to win this game, and then we'll get into the away team if the away team was going to win this game. So if the Bucks were going to win this game, they seem to have a pattern that almost seems too good to be true, but it's pretty heavy. So today has 78 date numerology on the Gregorian. 78 is the 12th triangular number. The Bucks can become 1-2 head-to-head against the Celtics, like 12, as they pick up their 12th home win for this season, while the Bucks coach gets his 397th win regular season for his career. 397 mathematically is the 78th prime number, 78 the 12th triangular number, and he can sit on 78 losses regular season as a coach for the Bucks as he gets his 397th win, the 78th prime number on a day with 78 date numerology. I mean, that just seems too easy. Too easy. And I know this stuff isn't that easy, but that seems really freaking easy. The Bucks, they would get their 22nd win for the season. 22, if I can spell it correctly, 22 sums to 78 as well. And then 42 also. Today with 42 and 78 date numerology on the Gregorian. It just seems so easy for the Bucks to win this game numbers-wise. The 12, the 78, the 78th prime, the 12th home win, their 22nd win, 22 sums to 78, 78 date numerology. It just seems too easy, almost like shooting fish in a barrel, with a old phrase that is. It's the 261st all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Bucks can get their 126th all-time head-to-head win against 126, 261. They're just anagrams of each other. And it's the 222nd all-time, or the 222nd regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams. And Milwaukee, I know I spelled that wrong. Milwaukee Bucks sums to 222. 222 Milwaukee Bucks. This is the 222nd regular season game. They can get their 22nd win for the season, etc., etc. So Bucks have some pretty good numbers. Almost seem too good to be true. So watch out for that. Sometimes when it's too good to be true, it most likely is. But they have some pretty good numbers here, I must say. Now, if the Celtics were going to lose this, if Celtics were going to win this game, if the Bucks were going to lose, and if Celtics were going to win this game, you could look to the Hebrew calendar. It is the 21st day of the 4th month on the Hebrew civil calendar, 2-1-4. The Bucks, they could become 21-14 for a season record with the loss, 2-1-1-4, 2-1-4, 2-1-1-4. 2-1-4, 21st day of the 4th month on the Hebrew. There's some similarities there, the same numbers. The only difference is there's one extra one here for the Bucks, 21-14, 21-4. There's some similarities. It's also the Bucks coach's 672nd regular season game for his career, and he can get his 276th loss regular season for his career. 672 and 276 are simply just reflections of each other mathematically. Today does have 58 date numerology on the Gregorian. 58 sums to 115. Celtics can get their 115th regular season head-to-head win against the Bucks to go with, and that would be all she wrote for the Bucks if that were to occur. The Celtics, they can get their 17th win or their 17th loss for the season. So whatever number connection you make for the 17, it can go either way. Doesn't really matter. Celtics are 2-0 head-to-head against the Bucks for the season. They could become 3-0 in their 33rd game for the season. Emphasis on the 3-0 in the 33rd game. And those would be some numbers for the Celtics to win this game. So let's keep it moving. Let's go on to the Warriors and the Suns. Warriors and the Suns. So we're going to start with the home team here, and then we're going to look at the road team. So if the home team was going to win this game, which is the Suns, we can look to the Hebrew, 110th day on the Hebrew civil calendar. The Suns could sit on 110 regular season head-to-head losses against the Warriors with the win. Today does have 58 date numerology. 58 sums to 155. The Suns could get their 155th all-time head-to-head win against the Warriors. This game will be played in Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona, written out, sums to 105. The Warriors could become 10-5 for a road record with a loss in Arizona. And Warriors coach could sit on that 402 wins. Today does have 42 date numerology, similar to each other. Either one of these teams can get their 27th win for the season, so any 27 connection you make, it could go either way. Doesn't really help. But today does have 15 date numerology on the Gregorian. 15 sums to 65. And Suns coach, he can sit on 65 regular season losses with the win. So that can help him out. Also, it's the Suns coach's 571st game regular season for his career. 571 is the 105th prime number. Like I said, Arizona sums to 105. Warriors can become 10-5 on the road with a loss. Excuse me, in Arizona. And those would be some Phoenix numbers for you. If the Warriors were going to win this game, one thing you can say is Warriors can sit on 6 losses for the season on a day that leaves 6 left in the Gregorian year. Warriors can get their 111th regular season head-to-head win against the Suns, as the Suns coach sits on 111 regular season wins as a coach for the Suns. Today has 26 date numerology on the Hebrew religious, the 287th day of the Hebrew religious year. Suns could sit on 26 wins for the season, as their coach gets his 287th regular season loss for his career. They would get their 6th loss for the season, as Warriors sit on 6 losses on a day leaving 6 left. Today does have 58 date numerology on the Gregorian. 58 sums to 115. Warriors can get their 115th all-time head-to-head win against the Suns, as they get that 111th. Warriors can get that 111th regular season, as their coach sits on 111. Suns coach, this is the 177th regular season game as a coach for the Suns, where he can sit on that 111. And Warriors coach can sit on 107 losses with a win, as they get that 111 regular season head-to-head with a win. Suns would sit on 143 regular season head-to-head wins against the Warriors with a loss in their 18th home game of the season. 18 sums to 143. And those would be some numbers for that game. Let's go on to the Nets and the Lakers. The Lakers were going to win this game. We'll start with the home team. If the Lakers were going to win this game, we can point to it being their 20th home game of the season. They can pick up their 71st all-time head-to-head win against the Nets. 71, the 20th prime number. The Nets, they could become 21-10 for a season record with a loss. Today is the 21st day of the 10th month on the Hebrew religious. The only thing that's dangerous about this is that the Nets play again in 2 days. In 2 days they play again. And So it'd be the 23rd day of the 10th month. You know, I guess it wouldn't set them up for that because if they win 22, okay, never mind, scratch that. It wouldn't set them up for that. So, okay, 21st day of the 10th month on the Hebrew religious, the Nets could become 21-10. This would be the day for them to do it if they were going to do it. They could become 21-10 for a season record. Lakers would get that 71st all-time, the 20th prime, and their 20th home game. Outside of that, though, I really didn't see a whole lot for the Lakers. Lakers, it's their 34th game for the season. 34 is the 9th triangular number, I believe. 34, nope, the 9th Fibonacci number. 34, 9th Fibonacci, it's their 34th game. They can sit on 9 home losses with a win. And the Nets coach, he would get his 34th loss regular season for his career to go with. For the Nets, though, for the Nets to win this game, it could come down to the 117th day of the Hebrew civil year. Lakers coach, he can sit on 110 regular season wins as a coach for Lakers with a loss. As the Nets coach gets his 70th win for the season, 70th win for his career regular season, and the number 70 sums to 110 day of the Hebrew civil year. The Nets, they can get their 22nd win for the season. 22 sums to 78 and 42. Today with 42 and 78 date numerology on the Gregorian. The Nets, they could become 12-3 for a road record with the win. This being the 94th regular season head-to-head 94th regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams. And the number 94 sums to 123. 94th regular season game. They could become 12-3, like 123. The Lakers would become 10-10 at home for the season record, with the loss, as the Nets become 1-0 head-to-head against the Lakers for the season, like 10. So those would be some numbers for that game. Let's move on to the last game, Jazz versus the Mavericks. I didn't have a whole lot of numbers marked for this one as well. Some of these games today, just there's not a whole lot of numbers there that you can point to, but that doesn't mean you can't find stuff. But let's start with the home team again. Jazz. If Jazz were going to win this game over the Mavericks, they can become 23-9 for a season record with the win. 239 mathematically is the 52nd prime number, if I can do it right. 239. 239 is the 52nd prime number. Written out 52 sums to 124. Today is the 21st day of the 4th month on the Hebrew civil. 124, 241, 124, just anagrams of each other. Mavericks, they can sit on 15 wins for the season. Today with 15 date numerology on the Gregorian. 15 sums to 124, just like 52 sums to 124. Like how Jazz can become 23-9, the 52nd prime, on the 21st day of the 4th month, anagrams of each other. And Mavericks, they could become 7-9. Mavericks are a lot similar to the first game. Hawks, that's the same record. It's the Hawks could become 16-16 or 15-17, and then 8-8 on the road or 7-9 on the road. Same thing for the Mavericks. They could become 16-16 or 15-19 or 8-8 or 7-9. So I would actually mirror this game based off of what happens in the first game. So if Hawks lose this first game and become 15-17 and get that 7-9, my guess is Mavericks will probably do the same thing. They'll become 15-17 and become 7-9. So that could be like a canary in the mine shaft for you. The first game, if depending on who wins that game, maybe it would be a clue for this last game. Outside of that, though, I really don't have anything else. I just didn't find anything numbers. I didn't find numbers in general for some of these games. It's just sometimes there's just nothing really there. 3-4-6. I don't think 3-4-6 is anything. I mean, Utah's like a stupid favorite? Yeah, like a 13-point favorite. I mean, Jazz, if you want to look for a Jazz, we'll go to the Mavericks if the Mavericks are going to win. One thing that you would have to look for the Jazz is when they play next. Jazz. I'll have to look. When's their next day that they play? And who do they play? So Jazz next game is on the 27th, and they play San Antonio Spurs. If we go to the 27th, we find that it's the 23rd day of the 10th month on the Hebrew religious side of the calendar. If the Jazz lose this game, they would go into that day 22-10, which could set them up to become 23-10. Or vice versa, if Jazz win this game and become 23-9, it could potentially set them up to become 23-10 in their next game against the Spurs. But it's all, I mean, these Spurs isn't necessarily a hard opponent for the Jazz, so I don't know. That might not be it. They might be just be hunting for that 24-9. But looking ahead, I mean, I guess you can play it that way. You know, maybe Jazz split the next two games because their next game is on the 23rd day of the 10th month. And maybe we can look to see what happens with the Nets. If the Nets become 21-10 on the 21st day of the 10th month, then that could be a canary in the mine shaft for the Jazz to potentially become 23-10 on the 23rd day of the 10th month in 2 days, depending on which game they win and which game they lose. Maybe. Outside of that, Mavericks become 16-16 for a season record with a win in their 16th road game. And the Mavericks coach, he can get his 199th win regular season for his career, 199. 199 is the 46th prime number. And if you spell out 46, it sums to 136, the 16th triangular number. And they could just go along with the 16-16 in their 16th away game. And then Jazz, they could get their 10th loss for the season in this game, as Mavericks up the series 1-0 head-to-head against the Jazz for the season, like 10. So, and then if that were to happen, if Jazz becomes 22-10, chances are they're going to become 23-10 in their next game on the 23rd day of the 10th month. If not, if they become 23-9, then we'll just have to see what numbers look like on this day against the Spurs to see if they would become 23-10. But that's all I have for right now for these games. Sorry that some of them didn't have a whole lot, or I didn't go over a whole lot with some of these games. Sometimes they just don't have numbers for me to look at. You know, it is what it is. You can't force numbers. I mean, I can make up whatever I want at any given time, but it doesn't really help me, and it doesn't really help you guys. So I try and highlight specific numbers that at least make somewhat sense to an outcome or potential pending outcome between either side. But you know, sometimes I can't even do that, and it is what it is. You know, and I don't, like I said in the beginning, I don't bet every single game that I make a pick on. I do pick every game that I possibly can, just because that's what I do. You know, I don't walk on eggshells with this stuff. You know, I'm not scared. I don't have to like cherry pick games. I just pick whatever game I want to pick. But when it comes to actually betting these games, I definitely do select which games I put money on and which ones I don't. So I might be picking 5 games for the day, but only really betting on one of them. But either way, I wish you guys the best of luck in your picks. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope you win every single pick that you make. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next one.